Hi and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we got another tier list and we're ranking every single season of my favorite player ever, Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. Neymar Jr, everybody. Let me know in the comment section as always your thoughts. Shout out to you boys for suggesting it in the last video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 10k subs. Like the video, share it to some friends, and without further ado, let's go. As you can see, we have every single season of Neymar from 2008-9 to 24-25. Last season just gone. We got 5 different categories. We got the GOAT category, that's only one season. We got 2 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 14, and 15 to 17 out of his 17-year stretch so far. And no better place to start really with his time at Santos, where he burst onto the scene 2008-2009. Rookie Neymar. I believe he had 24 goal contributions in all competitions this season. He was absolutely electric. You kind of saw the raw brilliance when people started to talk about Neymar. There was murmurs of brilliance. There were murmurs of iconicness. People were already claiming this guy is the heir to Pele's throne. There's a famous saying in Villa Belmiro, lightning struck twice. First it was Pele, then it was Neymar. Those sayings were coming out when he was a teenager, bro. And we're going to talk about his teenage years later on. But for me, this season here, you can't rank it too high. I'm going to put it 15 to 17 simply because of how young he was. Still a good season regardless for that age group. Moving on now to 2009-10 Neymar. I don't think people realize how good this version of Ney actually was. This guy here had 64 goal contributions in 60 matches as a 17 turning 18-year-old. Do you understand how fake that is? We all praise Lamine Yamal now, and I know he plays in Europe, completely different level, but we praise him for how good he is at such a young age. Neymar was doing the same things Lamine does in terms of performances, taking the games by the scruff of the neck, killing defenders one-on-one, just aesthetically so pleasing on the eye. Yet his numbers were absolutely ridiculous. This was the season here where the whole world started to go, wow, I've heard about this young Brazilian superstar. And everyone started watching his YouTube montages really from 2010 sort of onwards. This here, for me, statistically, well, actually, not for me, it's not subjective. Objectively, this is his most impressive season in terms of pure goal contribution. 64 in one season in 60 games, which is insane. Obviously, he was playing in Brazil. He's had some crazy seasons in Europe in terms of numbers. But he hasn't beaten 64 yet, and he was 17. I just don't think people understand and can really fathom and get their head around how crazy and mental that is. For me, this version of Neymar, despite him being so young, he raised the level of that Santos team. He was making a difference consistently in every single competition. His GA was higher than matches played. It's insane. I gotta have it high. I don't think he was as refined as the other seasons. I mean, statistically, it's absolutely fake. But I'm looking at this situation and I'm thinking, where am I going to rank this Neymar? I'm tempted to go 11 to 14 for now, but I think it could potentially be bumped up. Moving on now to 10-11 Neymar. I think this version of Ney wasn't as good as 9-10. In terms of the numbers, he dropped a little bit, but still, I mean, the performances that he was putting in, week out for Santos was... There was levels to this. He was absolutely excellent again. He got 33 goal contributions in the 10-11 season. I don't think it was as good as the 9-10 season, but we're still going to put it in 11 to 14. It's not bottom tier. There's 2 seasons that really stand out to be the worst 2 Neymar seasons, and it's not top 10 either. But moving on to 11-12 now. Personally, this might be my favorite Neymar season in terms of aesthetic, in terms of on the eye, in terms of the type of goals he was scoring, in terms of the montages, right? This is where I discovered Neymar. I still remember vividly, I must have been 8 years old, browsing on YouTube, just researching players, looking at montages. This is when I started to play football, right? For a club at my school at a very young age. And of course, I knew Messi, I knew Cristiano Ronaldo, I knew a few of the Serie A players at the time, Pirlo, Vidal, everyone that was in the Juventus team. I knew the big names in Europe, but I saw this, there was one specific edit. It was like Neymar Jr, King of the Favelas, the next Pele, skills and highlights, 2012, something like that, HD. It was like one of those OG YouTube montages where you can still find it today, not in good quality at all. It said HD in the title, definitely wasn't HD. But I remember watching this guy, seeing what he was doing, and I was thinking, at that age, yeah, all I cared about was skills. For me, I would rank players on how good they were, depending on how enjoyable they were to watch. So Messi, for example, when I was 8 years old, his dribbling was insane. He was going through everyone. Where I was like, wow, this guy is like an alien. But Neymar was doing the same, but with flair. So I was like, this guy here might be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely. I couldn't believe what he was doing. Rainbow flicks, nutmegs, everything, bro. Rabona goals. He had the whole lot on lock. He was the most skillful player, I think, in the world that season. And this is really where we got to see Neymar's brilliance. 61 goal contributions in this season. He was placing top 10 Ballon d'Or playing in Brazil. I don't think you guys understand how mental that is. For a human being to place top 10 in the Ballon d'Or, not playing in Europe, not playing in a big league in Europe, at a massive global European club, that's insane. Nobody's done it since. I don't think anyone will do it. I mean, look at Esteval, for example, when he was playing in Brazil. Yeah, he was high in the Copa trophy. Ballon d'Or not nominated. Do you understand how good someone has to be to place top 10 Ballon d'Or? Forget, do you understand how good someone has to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or playing outside of Europe? He placed top 10 comfortably. I think he was like 8th that season. I think he won the Puskas goal. That goal was fake as well, by the way. That solo run. I still, like, the goal is in my head. I can visually imagine it. I've seen it so many times. This here is one of my favourite seasons of Neymar. It is actually my favourite, but it's one of the best, I meant to say. Wow, the kit as well, the blue Santos kit, the plaster on his nose, man. Everything was just perfect about Neymar. He had those blue mercurials with the orange tick, bow celebration that literally every footballer's copied. Who's done it? Lamine's done it. I think Musiala's done it. Come on, bro. This was the childhood hero of any real football fan around my age. So for me, 2 to 5, 100%. Moving on to 12-13 Neymar. Good season, dropped off a little bit compared to 11, 12, 10, 11 and 9, 10. But again, I don't think he played this full season because the Brazilian season is kind of weird in terms of when it starts, when it finishes. He moved to Barcelona, but 11 to 14. Again, his time at Santos was just one of the best. And I kind of just want to talk about him as a teenager because this, I think, up until 11, 12, I believe he turned 20 in the 11, 12 season. So these seasons going into this one, he's one of the greatest teenage footballers ever. When you talk about wonder kids, Neymar is up there for sure. When you want to put like the names like Pele there, obviously he won the World Cup when he was a teenager. Mbappe won the World Cup when he was a teenager. Of course, Lionel Messi. You put Ronaldo the Phenomenal. Maybe in England you might put a Wayne Rooney, but I don't think he's on that same level. And Neymar has to be there. As I said, placing top 10 Ballon d'Ors as a teenager, winning Puskas Goal Awards as a teenager. The numbers he had, the guy had over 100 goal contributions as a teenager within like a few seasons. It's fake. And comfortably over 100 goal contributions by the time he was 19. We were destined for greatness. Obviously, he was greatness. He became greatness. But the talent he had, as I said, people were saying lightning struck twice at Vila Belmiro. First it was Pelé, then it was Neymar. There was never so much noise about a Brazilian since, I want to say, Pelé, really, because even Ronaldo the Phenomenal, there wasn't as much hype as there was for Neymar. In Brazil, everyone was talking like this guy had to be protected. The whole of Brazil wanted him to stay in Brazil. They didn't want to let him leave. And the thing is, he was meant to even go to Europe earlier. But they were like, no, you're staying in Brazil. You're continuing Pelé's legacy. You're not going anywhere yet. And then eventually got that money, moved to Barcelona, of course, and he left and he became greatness. But wow, as a teenager, Neymar, for me, he might even be number one. Moving on to 13-14 now, I specifically remember he had 15 goals and 15 assists. I don't even need to research the statistics of 13-14 Neymar. I remember it vividly. And what I loved about 13-14 Neymar is he didn't hit the ground running. He wasn't one of those players that automatically gelled straight away. You saw moments of brilliance, but it actually took Neymar quite a little bit of time, a good few months to really kick in, to really show the Neymar that we saw in Brazil. And he said this in his documentary, In the Perfect Chaos. Lovely documentary, the best documentary ever for me, at least, because Neymar's my glorious king. But he said that he was playing with fear, with stress, with being nervous almost. And there was one game specifically at half-time. I don't remember the game, but he told the story where he went into the toilets and started crying. And Messi came to find him. And Messi told him to relax, stay calm, your goal's going to come. And I believe he scored in the second half. So Messi almost took him as his son, as his apprentice, almost that Batman Robin role. And Neymar really started to shine in the 13-14 season, especially going into the summer of 2014 when he went to the World Cup, had an incredible World Cup. Such a shame about the injury against Colombia, I believe. But for me, you really have to look at the second half of the 13-14 season for Neymar, where his confidence really came into it. And look, this is one of the best seasons of Neymar for sure. His aesthetic as well this season. The Hypervenoms dropped this year. We all remember the orange and black Hypervenoms, one of the greatest football boots of all time, if not the greatest for me. I'm looking at this season of Ney, and I'm thinking, I'm going to probably have it here. I reckon 6 to 10. Because 30 goal contributions in your debut season in Spain, that's not easy at all. And still, you need to remember, Alexis Sanchez was still at Barca this season. He was a veteran. So Neymar, he didn't even start immediately when he arrived. He had to fight for his place, as I said, and also the confidence thing and whatnot we have to consider. So for me, 6 to 10 is fair. Moving on now to 14-15 Neymar. What a player. 49 goal contributions. 10 goals in 12 games in the Champions League. This guy scored in every knockout stage game from quarterfinals to the final. Quarterfinals both legs, semi-finals both legs, final. I think a lot of people consider 14-15 Ney to be his best season, and people have that in that GOAT category. For me, it's not, mostly because I've studied Neymar throughout his whole career, and I've seen more refined versions of Ney. But in terms of goal scoring prowess, this is one of his best seasons, most definitely. In terms of clutchness, you could argue it is his most important season and his best season in terms of big moments, big games, Neymar turning up. Of course, he was part of the most iconic football trio of all time, MSN. They won the treble that year, unfortunately beating Juventus in what I would say is a questionable fashion with the penalty not given on Pogba. But look, it's been 10 years. Am I over it? No. Will I be over it? No. But he did win the treble that season. And that Barcelona team, look, at the end of the day, it's one of the greatest club sides of all time. And Neymar was an integral part of that. He placed third, of course, in the Ballon d'Or. And people look at it and think maybe he was robbed that year of the Ballon d'Or. I think it's hard because 14-15 Messi is one of the greatest versions of any footballer ever. So I don't think he was robbed of the Ballon d'Or. When Messi wins the Ballon d'Or, it's never really a robbery. And also Cristiano had a better individual season than Ney that year as well. And I just feel sorry for Ney, really. He was a prince born in the War of Two Kings. That's why he never had a Ballon d'Or. And this season he could have won it. I don't think he deserved it. As much as I love Neymar, I wouldn't have given him the Ballon d'Or in 2015 over Lionel Messi. But this one here is one of the best versions of Neymar we've seen. In terms of aesthetics, he was still there, still aesthetically pleasing on the eye, but he became ruthless finisher, and he was a lot more confident compared to the 13-14 season. But what I love about this version of Neymar is his resilience, the ability to come back, because in the World Cup, I already mentioned it before, the back injury, the spine injury. I think in his documentary he said 2-3 centimeters to the right or the left, he would have been paralyzed. He could have gone into a shell. He could have thought, wow, I mean, I don't know if I can play football again. I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm anxious. And you need to understand that when you come back from a massive major injury in football, whether you've torn your ACL, broken your leg, whatever it may be, there's always that in the back of your head. Will it happen again? I'm scared that it will happen again. Neymar almost was paralyzed, bro. Forget playing football again. He might have never walked again. And he came back and dropped an all-timer season. Nothing but respect. 2 to 5, 100%. Moving on to 15-16 Neymar. Statistically, his best season in Europe. I think he had 31 goals and 25 assists. Oh, I think 24 assists. In terms of like goal scoring, playmaking, this is one of the very best we've seen of Neymar. And what I love about this season of Ney specifically was that 10-game stretch. I think it was like 10 games in a row, and he got like 22 goal contributions. Messi was injured. I think Messi pulled his hamstring or something like that. Neymar had to step up. He shaved his head. He locked in, and he killed everyone. I think he killed Real Madrid as well in the Clasico that in that period. 15-16 Neymar is one of his best versions easily. I mean, it's top 5 for sure. I think they were a bit unfortunate in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. Could have even retained the Champions League title that year. This version of Neymar, he raised his level, and I think we started to see him rivaling Messi at points in that period. And yeah, when Messi got injured, as I said, Neymar raised the level. He really dragged Barcelona, and I got to put him in 2 to 5 again. Just an iconic, incredible individual season for Neymar Jr. And bro, here we're just, this is greatness. Like, let's be real. The last 4 seasons we've gone over is pure greatness, and it only continues. It only continues. This is really like when we get to the end and I have to rank them 1 to 17. It's gonna be tough to rank. It really is, because they're all incredible seasons. And 16-17 Neymar doesn't really drop off. He had 46 goal contributions in 45 games, 20 goals, 20 assists in the 16-17 season. His playmaking was even more impressive than his goal scoring this season, one of the few seasons where his assists were higher than his goals. MSN, the last season of MSN, very sad. And this of course includes the remontada, that famous game, that infamous night in Barcelona, second leg of the Champions League, round of 16. Barcelona versus PSG. Can they turn around that deficit? And who is the man of the match? Neymar Santos Jr., the main man, the man that turned the game around, the man that saved Barcelona that night. One of the best individual performances we've ever seen in a Champions League match from an individual player. One of the greatest individual performances of all time. And that, unfortunately, I believe was the game where Neymar's time at Barcelona ended. I look at that and I think we can all agree he was the best player on the pitch that day. But after the match, after the remontada was completed, who got the plaudits? Messi. Messi's team. Messi leads the lines. Messi made the difference. And that night, Messi, as good as he was, wasn't on the same level as Neymar. And all the media outlets in Spain, Marca, the TV news, broadcasting channels were all praising Leo compared to Neymar. And I think Neymar sort of realized in that moment, he can't be the main man. He cannot be categorically the best player in the world if he's sharing a team with Messi. And at the same time, I don't think that was the be-all and end-all, that match. I think it was a factor. At the end of the day, PSG did pay the release clause, so Barca took the money, of course. And I think Ney probably wanted a new challenge in his career. Yeah, but I think that was the game where Neymar sort of realized, I can't win the Ballon d'Or. I can't be the best player in the world sharing the pitch with Messi. Because even if we were to win another treble, even if we were to win everything together, Messi's always going to be the main man. They're always going to put Messi above me, regardless of performances, numbers. So I think he really wanted to make that jump up. Whether you think it's an egotistical thing or whether you think it's arrogant or whatever you want to say. Look, it's a hard one, really, because when people ask me, did Neymar make a mistake going to PSG? I think he leveled up his football in terms of individual performances, which we'll talk about soon. But in terms of accolades and stuff, it wasn't the correct decision. Barca fans hate me when I say this, but I think he should have gone to Real Madrid. I think he should have stayed another season at Barcelona in the 17-18 season and then gone to Madrid when Ronaldo left. And I think the conversations would be scary. They would be scary if he went to Madrid. I mean, I don't think he would have ever done that. He had a lot of love and affection towards Barcelona and their fans. But I think from like an individual point of view, that would have been most beneficial. Other teams, maybe Juventus maybe we wouldn't have really been able to afford him. He would have done good in Italy. Bayern Munich and Germany would have succeeded, of course. Man City, I think, would have been a good shout as well. Incredible individual season regardless. Top 5 for me. But actually, hold on, we're struggling here. Because I know there are a couple seasons coming up. I'm actually going to go 6 to 10. Yeah, I think I'm going to go 6 to 10 for now. I said top 5 too easily because there's a few at PSG where he was scary. But yeah, great season nonetheless. Moving on to the greatest season of Neymar ever. The 17-18 season. Straight in the GOAT category. For me, this is the peak, prime, pinnacle of Neymar's career. 44 goal contributions in all competitions. 19 league goals and 13 league assists in 20 matches. More GA than matches played both in the UCL and the Ligue 1. The highest average match rating from a single footballer in a single season in football history. This version of Neymar was unplayable. When you talk about complete final third players, 17-18 Neymar is one of the greatest to ever do it. If you're looking at the individual pinnacle of every single footballer ever, if you can only take one season for every player, this one here is easily top 10 for any footballer ever. He combined goal scoring and playmaking to the highest caliber. I've not seen a better player in both realms, apart from Lionel Messi, I think, in my lifetime. I don't think I have. In terms of combining the two. I mean, this season here was fake from Neymar. I mean, people say the Ligue 1 was too easy for him that season. It's true. But the football in general was too easy for him. He would have been doing this in any league. I promise you. Like, he was too good at football at this point. He had leveled up so much and matured so much in terms of his decision-making in the final third, in terms of his movement on and off the ball. Because that's another thing that people underestimate from Neymar. Every single time Neymar dribbled, there was a purpose. Whether that would be to create space for himself or his teammates moving into certain areas of the football pitch. Because this season here, we also saw him as a 10. He would drift centrally a lot with the likes of Mbappe playing out wide off him. Edison Cavani, Di Maria. Just everyone, it was just free flowing. And I think he had an Achilles injury in like February time, which just ruined everything. He could have been on for a Ballon d'Or. This is what I'm saying. I think 2017, he was like halfway through this one and this one, where he finished third in the Ballon d'Or as well. 2017 and 18 were his best chances to win the Ballon d'Or. Because 2017, Cristiano Ronaldo won it, and deservedly so. He won the Champions League. He came up with big goals and big moments. But Neymar, in terms of his overall play, was more complete. But Ronaldo was a lot older, of course. 2018, Neymar should have won the Ballon d'Or. He should have. I'm not saying it was a robbery. The Achilles injury ruined everything. But I'm saying in terms of how good he was at football, he should have won the Ballon d'Or that year. Luca Modric won it that year. I think Cristiano Ronaldo, with the grand scheme of things, was probably robbed because he won the Champions League, this, that, and the other. But in terms of Neymar's playmaking, goal scoring, how complete he was as a final third player, if he just didn't get injured, had a better World Cup, he would have won the Ballon d'Or. For me. And that was his best chance in his career, not 2015, as I said earlier, when people look at it and think, yeah, 2015. No, 2018, Neymar should have. That was his best chance. He should have won the Ballon d'Or for me. 17, 18, Neymar was a joy to watch. He was a level above every other footballer in the Liga, and obviously he was a level above most footballers in the world. And there were times where he was a lot better than Messi and Ronaldo in that season. So for me, that is the GOAT season. Nobody can change my mind. And I think if you really studied Neymar and watched Neymar consistently, not only that season, but throughout his whole career, you can see that that is the most mature, most well-refined version of Neymar we've seen and will ever see. Moving on to 18-19 Neymar, I think one of his most underrated versions. He had 36 goal contributions in all competitions. I believe 17 goals and 9 odd assists in the league. He had more GA in the league than matches played, again, carrying on that great form from the 17-18 season. But at the end of the day, 18-19 Neymar still suffered from a lot of injuries. As you guys remember, he missed the second leg against Manchester United. PSG underperformed in the Champions League. Questions really started to be asked from the PSG fan base on Neymar this season. And Neymar asked himself a lot of questions. I believe this was the season where there was the rumours in that summer of 2019. Will Neymar leave? Will he go back to Barcelona? There were a lot of rumours. There were rumours that he was unhappy, and he was unhappy. He admitted this in the documentary. He didn't want to be at PSG. But I feel like at the same time, he regretted that decision to speak badly because the fans really attacked him. He made his way back into the hearts of the fans and he became happier as the years sort of went on. We'll talk about it really in the 19-20 season. But I think 18-19 Neymar, in terms of numbers, in terms of what he did, super underrated. I will have it 6 to 10. I don't think it was as good as a lot of other seasons, but again, statistically, numerically, 36 goal contributions. It's still ridiculous, bro. And now we're transitioning into the 19-20 season, and this season of Neymar, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my absolute favorites. Probably, I'll be honest, top 3 favorite. I absolutely adored watching Neymar this season. I tuned into Liga and pretty much week in, week out just for one footballer, one human being alone. And Neymar, again, as I said, when you talk about joyful footballers to watch, this version of Neymar is up there, man. It's up there. And it was funny, really, because I believe the first game of the Ligue 1 season, he was getting booed by the PSG fans for the whole game. Everyone was like, Neymar out. Neymar's a mercenary, because, as I said, he was linked to that move to Barcelona. And what does he do? 1-0 win. Silences the fan with a bicycle kick goal. And then from then onwards, he really kicked on. He kicked on again. His goal scoring, playmaking combined this season was so good. In terms of the numbers, he was very close in terms of goals and assists. Very similar. I believe he had 32 goal contributions in all competitions. A little bit less than 18-19, but I think he played less matches. But for me, what really separates Neymar this season compared to other seasons in his career was how good he was in the Champions League. His Champions League run that year was fake. I think it's on par or similar with 14-15. In terms of numerically, not the same as 14-15, but in terms of making the difference in games, dragging his team over the line, it's more important than 14-15. Because 14-15, he still shared the spotlight with Messi and Suarez, who were still good. Or Suarez in Champions League is always a bit iffy, but he scored a few important goals. He scored in the final, he scored against PSG. But Messi as well was very important. But 19-20, Mbappe didn't really turn up in the knockout stage. Di Maria didn't really turn up. Icardi didn't really turn up. Choupo-Moting did, to be fair, with his goals against Atalanta. That would have never happened without Neymar. Borussia Dortmund, revenge. Everyone remembers this. Neymar trolling Haaland and Dortmund with the celebration. Neymar really made the difference in that tie. Then lockdown happened, and I've never seen Neymar more locked in his career. The way he was training and how hard he was working off the pitch, we saw in the documentary. He was a man playing with vengeance, with hunger, with determination, and he dragged them to the final. I talk about that Atalanta game because, my goodness, they were dead and buried. That Atalanta team was serious. That Atalanta team scored 120 goals in all competitions that year. They almost scored 100 goals in the league. I believe they scored 91 in the Serie A that season. And they were 1-0 down for the majority of the game. Neymar makes the difference. 2 crucial assists. He was killing Pasalic that game. I remember watching that with my dad. Nutmeg. We were watching Brilliance and we were like, wow. This guy, when he wants to play... And I think 1920 Neymar was the kind of epitomized Neymar as that player that when he wants to play football and he's on it, you cannot stop him. You can't. You kick him, you kick him. That is the only way to stop him. Incredible performance. Even good performance in the final against Bayern. Mbappe let them down. Almost dragged them to the Champions League. And that PSG team had no right really to go to the final. For me, this is a top 5 version of Neymar. And that's why when I put 16-17 Neymar there, I was a bit hesitant because I remember this season coming up. And numerically, this season was better. But in terms of individual performances, apart from the remontada, this season here, wow. What a season. Moving on to 2020-21 Neymar, 29 goal contributions, very underwhelming performances in the league. In terms of his Ligue 1 stats, one of the worst he's had, really. out of his spell at PSG, let's call it. But again, had moments. Bayern Munich in the Champions League, getting the revenge, knocking them out over the two legs, absolutely unplayable. Against City, unplayable. I think in Sky Sports interview, Phil Foden said that's toughest player he's ever gone up against in terms of individual performances. But that PSG team just again let him down, really. In terms of individual numbers, performances, still one of the better versions of Neymar. I'd put it 6 to 10. But not really chatting to a lot of these seasons. And 21-22, this is just, for me, a disappointing season of Neymar. I think 21 goal contributions. He just couldn't gel in that team. This was the season where Messi joined as well. Hakimi, they had that crazy transfer summer, but the attack was Messi, Mbappe, Neymar. He suffered a lot from injuries this season. He couldn't make the difference as he had done. And I think this was really... It was weird because it was like he escaped Messi to be the main man. Now Messi's back with him at PSG. Mbappe really took the realms this season. Mbappe was by far and away, for me, PSG's best player and one of the best players in the world. And Mbappe's performances in the Champions League were incredible that year. Neymar really didn't raise the level that year. So I have to put it 11 to 14, but... It was a bit of a disappointing season for Neymar, I'm not going to lie. But when you talk about comeback seasons, 22-23 Neymar, wow, what a joy to watch. 35 goal contributions, 18 goals, 17 assists. And this guy going into the World Cup was on for a Ballon d'Or season. Everyone was talking about Neymar finally winning the Ballon d'Or, and I believed it. If only Brazil didn't let him down in the World Cup. Screwed him over against Croatia. It was one man. And the reality is, we saw Neymar go to Qatar, and he never came back, unfortunately. This season here was the last season of Neymar. Neymar died after this. Neymar's not been the same. Neymar will never be the same. He sacrificed his body that season. He sacrificed everything, and he wasn't really paid, unfortunately. But this season of Neymar, 35 goal contributions. This is, again, one of the best individual performances. But I hate Neymar for this as well. I will never forgive Neymar. Maccabi Haifa, yellow cards, suspended against Juventus. I went to watch Juventus PSG, the only footballer in my whole life that I grew up watching. I've watched the best players ever live. I've seen all the ones I wanted to see. The only human I've never seen live in the stadium that I wanted to see was Neymar. I went to watch Juventus PSG. I had the tickets. Neymar suspended. Neymar didn't play. I saw Mbappe, I saw Messi. I didn't see the one I wanted to see. And I can never forgive him for that. I've never seen Neymar since live. Will I see him? Probably not. I'd love to, but... That's the only thing that annoys me about Neymar this season, but just incredible, man. Easily 9 to 10 for me. And these seasons, 23-24, 24-25, come on, bro. These are put the fries in the bag, bro, like seasons. It's just a shame. The day he went to Al Hilal was the day I realized we lost Neymar forever. I realized he's not there anymore. He's not there physically. He's not there mentally. The hunger that was once in his eyes went. The hunger in these eyes here, 11-12 Neymar, disappeared here. This is the worst transfer of all time by a mile. I think Al Hilal paid close to 100 million euros for him. He played no more than 10 times. I think he scored like 1 or 2 goals. Tore his ACL, of course. They paid him over like 200 mil, I think, in wages. Economically, this is the worst deal ever in football history. Not that Al Hilal probably care. They have billions and billions to play with, but we didn't see him play. And 24-25 Neymar is just physically ruined. I mean, there's rumours that he might come to the Serie A to try and build up form for next year's World Cup. I would love to see him in Italy. Do I think he could play in Italy? The league is slower, it's less physical, but his body cannot compete. However, the pitches are a lot better than Brazil. They're not artificial grass, which isn't helping his ankles at all. That's an absolute joke. Brazil need to change the infrastructure. But yeah, it's down there as well. So, we have got the order. We've got the categories, let's say. Do I have it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Yeah, it's all good. I don't have too many in one. 17, 18 Neymar is his best. I'm happy to have that there. I'm going to go for 14, 15 Neymar second. I will put 15, 16 over 11, 12, despite 11, 12 being my favourite. I think these three are his best seasons. 19, 20 there, I'm happy with. 16, 17 there, I'm happy with. 13, 14 there, I'm happy with. I think 22, 23... I'm actually going to go 22, 23 over 13, 14. Just because, like, for the first half of the season, he was unplayable, Ballon d'Or worthy. And 13, 14, the second half of the season, he was unplayable. But I'm going to go with that. I'm quite happy with that. 18, 19 over 20, 20, 21, I'm happy with. You know, why? 2020, this is a tough bit here. This is tough. Hold on a minute. Let me just think about this, right? 21, 22, it is low. It is low. I'll probably put it there. I'd do that. My only thing is 2009-10 Neymar. I'm actually going to bump it up. Now, this might sound crazy to say because, of course, this Neymar was more well-refined and more developed as a player. But this guy here, 64 goal contributions as a 17-year-old turning 18 in 60 games. It's insane. It's too ridiculous. Those numbers were too ridiculous. So I think this version was more well-refined. But the numbers of a 17-year-old, I think you got to pay more respect there. And this season here in the league, so underwhelming. So underwhelming of Neymar. I want to say Lille won the league as well that year. I mean, he had individual performances in the Champions League, Neymar. But I'm very happy to have 9-10, top 10. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with this ranking in general. I'm very, very happy with this ranking in general. I think you could maybe argue 18-19 over 13-14. But in terms of like preference, I prefer 13-14. I'm very happy with this. This 22-23. These three here, I think you could argue the order. But for me, this is the only correct Neymar Jr. season ranking order. Let me know in the comment section what you changed. I want to shout out my boy Leas as well. I know he did his own Neymar ranking quite a while ago, taking inspiration from you. But Neymar is my favorite player ever, so I wanted to give my opinion on this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As I said, boys, like the video, share it to some friends, and let me know in the comments also which player should I do next, which club should I do next. We could do teams, we could do tournaments. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.